Okay, welcome. It's nice to have all of you here for another Friday. I'm excited to talk with you, especially since we've had some good conversations during the week about some of the things we were studying and talking about. So that'll be fun to get to experience get to share, the things that we've been doing this past week and any of our thoughts. So it's good to see you on. It's going to be interesting to see as we continue with our Fridays how this works as far as the number of moms that we have on here. It's so far, even through the summer got a little bit small because people were busy going different places doing things. But as we've come back, we seem to end up with about 15 or so moms on Fridays, which is a lovely, nice, full group. Lots of people to have discussion and be talking back and forth with. And I love that. I like when you guys are able to communicate with each other. Now you can all hear me fine? Yeah? Okay. And I heard Paige fine, so I think we're good. Okay. So any moms have anything that they brought today that thoughts, experiences, readings that they definitely want to make sure that we have an opportunity to share? Just checking just to make sure, because if there is something that you in your own individual reading thought, oh, I've got to share this. I know we did a little bit of sharing during the week of that. So that Marco Polo group takes care of some of those back and forth sharing. And Ida, it was wonderful having your sister last week. That was really fun to get to meet her.
Hopefully she'll jump on again. I don't know.
Good. I hope
she said she wanted to try to do that more often. And I might have something to share, but as we're talking, it's like, then it comes to my mind. So
right.
I'm sure everybody else is like that. Maybe it's only me.
Oh, that is so me. You guys start saying things and then all of a sudden I have all kinds of things that come in my head. But before that moment, it's fluff and nonsense is all that's up there. That's okay too. Lindsay Cardall, I'm glad you're here this week. That's fun. I loved seeing the things that you did with your kids this past week. And I thought that was fun that you told Cadence she was your inspiration, because she sure is inspiring as she shares her little vignettes of what they accomplished, what they did in a week. Just little things, but things that are following the rotation and, warming the hearts of her children, I'm sure.
Yeah, I get done in like 2 or 3 weeks what she gets done in one, but it's good. We enjoy it.
Good. And she's been doing it for a few years. So as each month comes around, these are places and things that she has visited before, so she's just adding to her, adding the layers.
Yes. Yeah. So ours is, I feel like sometimes it's very superficial. Like I think we hang our stuff on our board right here. So, but I think one of the main things we learned from Iceland is a lot about puffins. But I'm like, you know what, if all we learned about this year is that Iceland has puffins and puffins are pretty cool, then that's great. Next year, maybe we'll learn something else. But we're kind of, I don't know, I kind of feel like we're like, I know you guys are in Bakersfield, but Bakersfield's really big. And among like our area, I feel there's some homeschoolers, but I don't know. Among the people that we know, like we kind of feel like pioneers a little bit. So my husband wants us to try to be influential. And I'm like, oh, well, we're mothers of influence. But anyway, so we like hang things up so people can ask questions. And I'm trying to be more, I'm not usually active on social media, but I'm trying to be more active so people can see. And it has been really beneficial because of all the crazy stuff, that's going on with our governor and stuff. I've actually had a lot of people contacting me about homeschooling, and I think it's good to put things out there so people can see what homeschooling is, but also that it's just like so much more than just school, so.
Yeah. No, I think that's fabulous. I do believe that that's going to be part of what we do, right? Is just being there for people to talk to. So if moms have questions and they've just maybe been doing a little bit of wondering, what does homeschooling really look like, And obviously homeschooling, the Mothers of Influence and Well-Educated Heart isn't just for homeschoolers, but it definitely is such a great resource for any families who are homeschooling.
yeah, like I've shared the Well-Educated Heart with a few people. And the good thing about that is I tell them, this isn't just for homeschoolers. It's not even for people who have kids, or maybe their kids are grown or don't have kids yet, but this is for the moms, this is for us. So the Well-Educated Heart, I feel like, is easier to share than just homeschool, So not everybody wants to or can or should homeschool. So, but Well-Educated Heart, I think, is for everybody. So
Yes. And aren't you seeing that more and more? The more you dig into it, you're seeing, oh, this is going to benefit me my whole entire life. And every person I know would benefit from spending time here.
yeah.
See, Ida says, I love that you're making layers and helping your kids make connections with places in history. It is like you are helping them create files. And as they go through the days and years, they will keep adding things to those files and reorganizing them and making connections. Even if they only know the one thing about Iceland now, they will have some reference to it. Yes, that's exactly right. And that's how I see it too, is I see it like a filing cabinet, and now you've just created a file for Iceland. And you've put something in it, you put puffins in it. And the next time that they run across something from Iceland, then they'll have a place to add that new information to. I love that, Ida. I see that too. Amberlyn, it's nice to have you with us. Amberlyn, could you remind me where you're from?
Oh, sorry, you can hear me. I didn't know that.
No, it's fine. It's super quiet. No.
I'm from Smithfield, Utah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, and then we've got a couple more, couple other moms on here that aren't always on, and I just wanted to, I remember Morgan. So Morgan Taylor, I believe, unless things have changed, Morgan is from New York. I think that's right. And Morgan, you can tell me if that's right or wrong when you have a chance. And then Emily's back. That's awesome. I'm glad that you're back, Emily. We enjoyed having you last week. So if anybody wants to pop on, be sure to, oh, Morgan, you're in Georgia. Oh, I thought it said New York. You're in Georgia. Okay. All right. Welcome, Morgan. It's good to have you here. Okay. Also, Ida added, also food is a really great way to start those files. Yes, absolutely. Having food and that's a fun way to start the files. I love that. That's great to add that into your family's experiences. And for you, just for you as the mom, as I'm now and what I'm doing now this week is focusing, kind of thinking about, okay, what does my home look like with me as an empty nester? What do I do? What does that look like? And so that's a whole different thing. And Well-Educated Heart, it's definitely going to be a huge part of it, of what my life looks like. I was going through the app with my daughter-in-law a couple days ago. And just as I was going through it again, I was struck by how much is there. It's absolutely incredible for anybody who loves to learn. There are such wonderful resources there. So I think it's fabulous. I'd love to know more about how you're using resources, about the kind of things you're doing in your week, about what is warming your heart, what you're sharing with other people, anything. And Ida, we'll go to you.
Sorry, guys. Got a lot to say. I don't get out much. No, I've been reading the nature study and I haven't gotten very far. I'm like only at page 15, but I'm just trying to read little snippets here and there. And I figure I'll just go back to it, every time I come around to this book. But I love this little part in here that says, it's at the beginning, still in the introduction, but he's talking about Dr. Bigelow. I think that's how you say his name. Anyways, as the teacher, he quotes, or she quotes, I don't know who's saying this exactly, but as the teacher reaches the intellect of his pupils through his own intellect, so he touches their emotions by means of his own emotions. That is why the teacher must himself love nature if he is to succeed in influencing others with a love for it. Do not talk to your pupil about the lovableness of nature if you have not the genuine article in your own heart, not head. And then he's talking about how the remarkable characteristic of the human mind, called by some psychologists plastic imitation. So like because we tend to copy the people that we're around and we love, that helps in our learning, right? So he says it makes it possible for the feelings of a pupil to be aroused by any purely makes it impossible for the feelings of a pupil to be aroused by any purely intellectual activity on the part of the teacher. And this is true, of course, not only of nature study, but universally. Ideas may be conveyed by the intellect, but ideals can be developed only by one who loves and cherishes them for himself. And so I think that that is the key, right? So it doesn't matter what you're really been teaching about Iceland or anything else, but your excitement about learning and studying things is inspiring, and your children feel that, and see that. And if you're excited about going and looking around at nature, if you're just walking, like focusing on the ground and like, all right, let's walk, let's do this. We're beating nature, like that's not exciting or inspiring. But if you're stopping to smell the flowers and look at the scenery and say, hey, look at this, this is so cool, or the moon or the sun or whatever, and that helps them to start looking at those things too and noticing them more. And I've noticed that with my kids, and I'm like, we're not doing anything heavy academic, like pretty much nothing. We're doing lots of reading, and we're doing lots of art and music study, and really tons of art, and going out in nature a lot. And that's all we're doing with all my kids right now, because that's all we can do. But I'm surprised how much, I mean, that's not exactly all we're doing, but anyways, I'm just surprised how much they're picking up things and noticing things and starting to be more aware. And I don't know, it's just interesting. Like, and I feel like I was thinking about that a lot in relation to the gospel and teaching my children about Jesus Christ and those kinds of things. Like if I'm excited about it, if I'm excited about singing hymns, if I'm excited about having those kinds of inspiring and heartwarming things in my life, it really impacts them. And it's interesting to see just in little ways. Like I love going in my son's room last night, and seeing they all had their scriptures out and they're reading together. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna walk away and pretend like nothing's happening. And I mean, I don't know if they do that all the time, and I don't want to be like, you need to read your scriptures every night, but I'm so excited that they're taking time to do that, even if it's just this one time. It's like those little things, they, they're layering layer upon layer. Anyways, that was my kind of thing for this week.
That was your first thing for this week. I hope that wasn't your only thing for this week, but that was beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And isn't that fun to just happen upon a good thing happening with your kids? That is always so rewarding as a mom, to just kind of happen upon something lovely, something that's kind of inspiring, something that helps you feel good about the direction everybody's going in. That's a good thing. I'm getting to have a lot of that this week. This week has been so rewarding, so much fun to have 3 of my kids with me, and 2 of them with, with their spouses, and with my little granddaughter, and get to see the interactions and everything. It's been really fun. And we got to talk to Michael and, do a video call with him. And so that was great. That was really good. So it's just fun to be with your family and see them as they are growing up and becoming who they are becoming. So that's really wonderful. So other thoughts, other things that you want to share from this week, your experiences, the things that you're learning about? Does anybody want to bring up that, again, Linnell, I'm so happy that you shared that story that comes before the poem that Sarah shared with us on the Marco Polo group this week. That is such a good story, such a powerful story. And I went back and read it, and I remember reading it the first time and thinking, oh my goodness, I would have felt such overwhelm at the challenge that Marlene was facing, because this is a personal story from Marlene. So does somebody, Linnell, do you want to share, would you be willing to share that story with the group?
Sure. So this is in the first Catch the Vision book. and it's on page 180. The poem that Sarah shared is on page 188. And I believe Sarah said that it's called How Did You Die? Is that right? Something like
I
that.
think that's what she said.
So that's at the end of a story, and it's just 3 pages long, and it's called The Influence of a Story. And Marlene one day found out that her website was down and everything on it was not accessible. She spent a lot of time and effort and energy in building this website, and so to find out that it had crashed and was no longer available and not recoverable was very disheartening and depressing, and tears were shed and devastating. And just the night before, she was reading a story from, I love how she said this. She said from her friend or from her mentor. Let me see how she says this.
Yeah.
She said, around that time, I had been spending quite a bit of time with Professor Lawrence Jones, who had been mentoring me in faith and courage and not giving up. Like most of my friends, he died long ago, but he was teaching me through his story. So she just talks about this author as one of her friends. And I always love her perspective on how the men and women that she reads about are her friends and her mentors. And so this story was about a tornado, I think. Was it yes. So she read a story about this man the night before her website crashed, about a tornado coming to destroy a school that he was trying to build. And he was devastated. But the next day, all the people who were attending the school came to help him rebuild it. And the school that everyone helped rebuild was even better than the one before. So that experience gave her hope and courage to continue on when a similar devastating storm came through her life. And she said that because of this unforeseen, unwished for event, she was able to create something even better, something more user-friendly, something more organized, something more comprehensive and inclusive. And I believe that's the website that we have today. So her perspective before that poem is that we can't, no, well, there's so many things that you can take away. I think depending on where you're at in your life and your experiences, you'll get a different message out of it. But what she got from this story is the resolve to work through it, to continue on, to push forward, and to come out triumphant. So for anyone who hasn't heard the story or read it or as part of our Marco Polo group, I'll just read that poem really quickly. It says, did you tackle the trouble that came your way with a resolute heart and cheerful, or hide your face from the light of day with a craven soul and fearful? Oh, a trouble's ton or a trouble's an ounce, or a trouble is what you make it, and it isn't the fact that you're hurt that counts, but only how did you take it? You are beaten to earth. Well, what's that? Come up with a smiling face. It's nothing against you to fall down flat, but to lie there, that's a disgrace. The harder you're thrown, why the higher you bounce. Be proud of your blackened eye. It isn't the fact that you're licked that counts, it's how you did fight and why. And though you be done to the death, what then? If you battled the best you could, if you played your part in the world of men, why, the critic will call it good. Death comes with a crawl or comes with a pounce, and whether it's slow or spry, it isn't the fact that you're dead that counts, but only how did you die?
Thank you. I love that. And that's a pretty powerful example to have this, your whole entire website be inaccessible. You know, they had all the data, but they lost access to everything. And to have that website back again, they would have to re-enter all of the information, put in all of the links, do all of that. So I think being able to read her story and then look at this other example of this man and his school and all that had been sacrificed to build, and then have that be just completely devastated. And this idea that we can handle hard things and we can go back and start over, and then to add the poem to it, there are these layers of understanding, layers of examples to help us as we're trying to navigate our worlds and everything. So This was, oh, Rachel, it was the story that Marlene told in book one, the philosophy book. And it was when their website became inaccessible. And anyway, they had their data, like I said, but lost all access and had to recreate it. So yeah. And Maya, it's so nice to have you here with us. Welcome. Do you have a minute to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Maya. Hi. I am living in Oklahoma, and I am a friend of Laura Pollock.
Oh, great.
She invited me to this, and so I'm excited. I'm excited to meet other moms and just be able to talk with other ladies.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, you could have a period at the I'm excited to meet other moms period. I mean, just that is enough, right? And then you add anything else to it and it's just a bonus. So yeah, totally understand. Okay, let's see. Maya's only a few hours away from Rachel, so that's fun. Rachel is in Texas, Maya. Actually, so is Ida. I'm gonna have us pause for just a moment. Hey, Stevie. I missed him. I was trying to get my son before they left. They're going down to the pier. So it is windy today where we are. We came over to the beach all together and the wind came up during the night and it is crazy windy. So kind of too windy to be on the beach unless you enjoy being sandblasted. So the pier is a little bit safer option. So anyway, okay, well, we're super happy to have you with us, Maya. It's always fun when we get new moms. We had Emily join us last week and back again today, so that's fun. All right, so that story, anybody else have things that from listening to those stories that you got out of that you kind of thought, oh, that sort of applies here. Oh, hang on one second before we do that. Hey, Steve, can you come here for a sec?
Connery.
Did you get my question that I sent you? Oh, okay. So this is what you're missing out on. He's leaving to go be with everybody else. This is my oldest, just so you guys get a chance to meet Stevie. This is Stevie.
Hello.
He's the one with the baby, but he is a product of my crazy homeschooling adventure. But he's a pretty good one.
Oh, thanks. And to try and answer your question really quick about how did all these kind of extra art things,
music art storytelling, nature, all that stuff.
Well, I think that I had an answer last night for that popped in my head for some reason because of some other context. But I think that those kind of things help you think critically, appreciate and make value judgments because you can appreciate life. So you're not just a machine learning STEM facts, which is important and good and useful, but without the context of the world that we live in and appreciating life, it's not as meaningful. How's that? Is that pretty good?
I like it. You're awesome.
Okay.
Have a good time.
See ya.
Okay, I just asked him a question earlier that I said, if we had a chance, I'd love for you to pop on and just answer how you see the value of music and art and nature and storytelling and all that in your life. So that was a quick answer because everybody else is in the car. Okay, we're gonna go to Melissa.
There we go. This week in a conversation, a phrase came up from the Sleeping Beauty video that Marlene did. And the phrase was unity against the forces of disintegration.
Oh, wow.
And just led to a discussion just about all the things in our society that seem to be disintegrating. The importance of family, the roles of parents, education history, literature, even music and art quality and whatnot. And the discussion basically was about how can unity fight against that? And how do we create that unity to do that? Because I think our unity as families is falling apart. Our unities as neighborhoods and communities and organizations are disintegrating, I guess.
Yeah. Even churches,
And,
all the different religions, and I mean, there's everything. You're right.
and yeah, it just made me think about the importance of unity and the role of unity in our society at all levels, and also about this group and how wonderfully unifying it is. But yeah, just lots of, I'm not being very articulate, just lots of thoughts running through my head about that phrase.
And that's okay. Don't you see that happens? You have some subject come up and you have a conversation and it brings all of these thoughts into your head. And then it takes a while as we're thinking about it and talking about it and thinking some more and talking some more, and processing and trying to figure out what are we learning from that. Ida, you say, I've been pondering that a lot since listening to the talks from conference. It seemed like that was a common thing in many of the messages. Yeah, thought so too. Unity was kind of that idea of unity was kind of an underlying theme to address the problems. And don't you, I wonder if some of the reason we love this group so much is because it provides balance in this crazy cultural environment that has come up in just this past year and a half, 2 years. I mean, it's been building for a while, but we're feeling the effects of it so strongly now. And having a place where you come and the discussion is positive, it's supportive, it's nurturing, building, all of that stuff. Lindsay Bunting, it's been in our Come Follow Me lessons the last couple of weeks too. Yeah, that's no coincidence, right? Those things aren't coincidences. They're little blessings that we have this building and layering. Go ahead. Who was, Melissa's little one.
Yeah, my little guy. I think we've kind of talked a little bit about this, maybe in the Marco group, talking about your neighborhood and some of the unity that we find there that we might not find in other groups. But yeah, I think being able to create unity or be unified is almost like a skill that is lacking that we need to develop in a lot of areas, maybe.
No, I think that's really interesting. Ida, I want to go back to that, this ability to create unity. Ida, tell us, what did Marlene, I didn't go on Facebook this morning, so I haven't seen yet. What did Marlene share? You're muted. Are you?
All right, I'll share it here. Hang on.
Are you looking for it?
Yeah, it's just, I shared it with my family, so because I was like, this is really cool.
I've loved what she's shared lately, actually.
I know, she's so like, her thoughts are so refreshing. Like, instead of being like more contentious, it's like, oh, that is such a balanced and thoughtful response,
Yeah.
So this is what she said this morning. She said, I saw the announcement this morning that the Good and the Beautiful is discontinuing their history curriculum as they work on a major overhaul, which won't be available for a couple of years. Among the changes is a column with hard facts, also more instruction in how to discern what is true and what isn't, along with more diversity. I don't know so much about that. Anyway, she goes on. As I pondered this, along with the discussions of the last few days, because there's been a lot of heated discussions, some heated discussions on the group about Christopher Columbus and pilgrims and all that, if any of you were aware. Anyways, so she is kind of responding to that. As I pondered this, along with the discussions of the last few days, a thought came into my mind. The tempest and the storms are only on the surface of the water. Go deep where it is still and calm. The older writers were more concerned with truth than true. In an old book about the lost books of the Bible, it says, it must be remembered that such a thing as historical accuracy is a comparatively novel product. The older writers never dreamed of it. They wrote in order to be interesting, not to tell the truth. I keep saying it. There are comparatively few facts that history has left us. We learn far more about the Greeks from their mythology than from artifacts. Even original sources are filtered through someone's point of view. If we keep studying history at the surface level of facts and historical accuracy, we're going to find ourselves in the storms of conflict. I say go deeper. Historians need to be concerned with facts, but I'm not a historian. I'm a student of life. I have great respect for the work of Audrey Rindelsbacher, something. We are aligned in so many ways. She teaches moms to look for principles as they study. I call them gems. Gems are the life lessons buried in the stories of history, whether factually correct or not. How do you know if they are true? You put them into practice and watch the fruit. If it's good fruit, it's a keeper. It is truth. When you study at that level, skin color is irrelevant. Nationality is irrelevant. Time frame is irrelevant. I talked to a friend yesterday who's in Ghana. She was saying that one of the revealing things of her experience there is that, in spite of how different we are on the outside, on the inside we share a common human experience. Their concerns for their children are the same as ours. Human nature is consistent across the span of ages and nationalities. I don't study history because I necessarily need to know about them. I study it because I need to learn about me and how to conduct my life. I need to understand human nature. They teach me through their lives. History is nothing more than the stories of individuals living their lives, and every story can be traced to a condition of the heart: fear, jealousy, greed, anger, compassion, selfishness, faith, hope. Look for the life lessons which the older writers artfully wove into their history retellings, and you can avoid the tempest swirling around you, and a study of history will become meaningful and rich. I just really love that because
Wow.
that brings history to life, right? Like when you're thinking
Yeah.
more about what am I learning from this? What are the life lessons here? Whether it's true or not is irrelevant, whether it's actually, whether it's factual, right? But
Yeah.
principles of truth, you can still find those in all these stories, right?
Right. Right. No, that's beautiful. That's something I would like to print out and have
Yeah,
with me,
me
when
too.
talking to people, because that's really the underlying thing. What is it that we're trying to learn? It's not the facts about things. We're trying to move away from that. And like we talk about in the scriptures, we need to learn to apply these things to our own lives and find how it impacts our own lives and what we can learn from it and how we apply it in our own lives and all that. That is wonderful. And then what Laura has shared here, Laura said, this week I read The Palace Made by Music. And that's such a good story. It is really beautiful. And she shared this little part from it. Chaos in the world is caused by the chaos of separate lives. When our music is played together, we can see miracles. Nature is harmony. When we harmonize, the world will come together. A very good story about unity. Yeah, that's so, and look at the division that is happening all over because of facts, whether the facts are right or not. And I love that Marlene talks about she's more concerned about truth than about whether the thing is true or not. And that doesn't mean that we don't care about things being true. It's just that there are things that are much more important. Learning what it is that we can learn from these things. That is so good. So for anybody that missed it, welcome, Kimmy. I'm glad you jumped on. Kimmy messaged me to apologize for missing the meeting. And I said, you didn't miss it. Come. I don't study history because I necessarily need to know about them. I study it because I need to learn about me and how to conduct my life. I need to understand human nature. They teach people in history, teach me through their lives. History is nothing more than the stories of individuals living their lives. Every story can be traced to a condition of the heart. I love that too. Look for the life lessons, which the older writers artfully wove into their history retellings, and you can avoid the tempests swirling around you. I loved that. And I loved the phrase, and I think we could remember that phrase, go deep. Go deep. That's where the waters are still and calm.
Yeah, I love that. And Lori, I think it's in Catch the Vision where she shares it's a video, I think, and it shows like this these two people and they like exchange some money, right?
Yeah.
YouTube video. And then she, in the video, it talks about like, how do you feel about what's happening here? Like you're seeing what's happening, right?
Yeah.
But if you know different things about the story, like, okay, so maybe this man was stealing the money from the other man, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's a robber, right? Or maybe this person was giving him money, and maybe, you know, like there's all kinds, like just seeing this thing with your
Interaction.
eyes, you don't know all the facts. And I feel like that's so important to remember. Like all the stories we're hearing, that's one person's perspective or one person's opinion about, you know, what they've read, right? And even now, like even things that are happening right now, like so much on Facebook or things like that, there'll be a story and it's like, oh my gosh, and everybody gets all excited and takes sides in different, right? But unless you're really there, or unless you're God, who's omniscient, right? And knows all and everything and sees all, then you really don't know all the facts. And so it's so helpful to just take a step back. Like I feel like try to really avoid getting into those things, but I'm doing better at it. But like just not worrying about that.
Not engaging.
Not everybody knows, right? Nobody knows except for God.
Right. Right. And isn't it kind of freeing to step back? You know, it is for me. But also the other thing in there too is who is telling the story and how do they feel about the people involved in the story? Because that's a whole other aspect too. You know, if you're just in a conversation today with your family, maybe about something, you know, or someone, and you get some information, you also know, well, that person doesn't like that person. So, you know, you take that as part of the story, you know, or well, you know, they always take that person's side, or, you know, whatever the thing is. There's so many aspects to any given story. So I love Marlene. I love how she sees the world. I love that she is obviously very inspired as she puts together these posts. I think that's so eloquent, and yet it's very simple. She doesn't share anything that's super flowery and very highbrow intellectual, yet it contains all the wealth of the knowledge of years of reading and studying and putting together all of this information. So there's a lot of good there. A lot of good there. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, what else? What else do you want to talk about? What else is coming into your head? Isn't that boy of mine cute? Isn't he so cute? He's 27 years old. He's not a boy, but he's my boy. And he's just he's a good man. Good husband, good father, good person. It's just fun to be able to be around him and just kind of see how he's doing. Yeah.
I have a question. Am I allowed to do that?
Absolutely, Maya. You're allowed all kinds of things. So yeah.
So I'm new to the group. And this may be like a silly question, but what are you all talking about? Like, are you talking about like your daily lives? Are you talking about just questions that you are wanting to try to get answered? What's going on?
Yeah, I love that you asked that. And I'm going to throw that out there to the moms to answer. What do you come here for? What are we doing here? How do you see it? And it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. So if you guys are willing to pop on for a minute and help Maya understand what it is that we're doing here. Somebody who feels like, yeah, I want to share a little bit. Paige, thanks. Paige is in Alaska.
Ooh.
Yes, we just got a bunch of snow. I don't know if you can see out. Lots of snow. I like to come just to be inspired. I don't share very often, but I feel like I just get inspired and get lifted up each time I'm on, and love to just hear how other people, what they're learning, and different things I can incorporate into my life personally or into my kids' life. So I like the inspiration.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thanks, Paige. Okay, who else? I'm going to put Laura on the spot. Laura, why do you come here? What are we doing here?
I feel like I can live my life
better because of the things that we discuss. Like, it just helps me be inspired to be a better person, a better mother, more patient, and more inspired to like go and read things and find things that help me find more joy in life, I think, because it gives it deeper meaning. Like you said, go deep. I love that because it makes us go deeper into things that are really important instead of being caught up in the chaos that's going on in the world right around us today.
Yeah.
Like
I love
what's
that.
really important. Yeah.
Right. Focus on the things that are really important. I love it. And Melissa, I'm going to ask you, are you close enough to come back on screen? I mean, no, Melissa comes and goes with stuff that's going on with her kiddos. Melissa, can you share for just a moment, just a little summary of what you shared with us that day when you read from the book and talked about our callings as mothers and homemakers making us interruptible?
Yeah, I shared from a book about the history of textiles and women's work. And in the first like 2 pages, there were a couple of paragraphs that talked about how workload historically was divided because women were the only ones able to provide for their young, to bear and nurse their young children. And therefore it wasn't convenient for them to be mining or hunting. You imagine like being 9 months pregnant and going out for a hunt or digging in a coal mine or whatnot. And so the men went and did those jobs while the women came or stayed with the children and did jobs that were more convenient for safely rearing children, which were generally making clothing and food preparation, because they needed to be close to the children, fairly safe environments, and they needed to be easily interruptible so they could stop and take care of the children and get back to it. And so, yeah, just the beginning of this whole book about textiles and women's work throughout history started out by saying women do this work because it's easy for them to take care of their young. It's the most convenient way for them to do the most important job, basically, is what it was talking about. Probably from than I said it, but
what did you just say?
They probably said it far more eloquently than I just did. But.
Oh no, I loved it. I loved it. So Melissa is a textile artist. She has weaving looms in her home and she's created some beautiful pieces that we've been able to see. And so that's kind of her passion. And that was something, obviously, like she said, she shared from a book she was reading. But we had a really rich discussion from this one little paragraph that she shared about kind of this, okay, well, how can I take that into my life and learn something from it? And so a few of the moms were feeling like, oh, this is kind of nice. Now, instead of looking at my work as being kind of mundane and monotonous, I can't even think of words. I can call my work, I'm interruptible. It's easily interruptible and I can see it in a much more positive light, so just little things like that. I love that, Melissa. Thank you. And Melissa, would you like to share more?
For me, this group, Mothers of Influence, might be a little different than some others because a lot of people here do the Well-Educated Heart rotation in their learning with their kids. I use it more like a pantry. I just take whatever works for me and go with it. I don't follow necessarily the recipe that Marlene hands out with her stuff. But one thing that this group does provide is just beauty. This group provides beauty in my week, in my day, and helps me refocus on the beauty around me and the beauty in the mundane of life and the hard things that go on. I come here and it's just a breath of fresh air every week.
I love that. Thanks. Okay, who else? Oh, Linnell shared, I come for personal growth, connection with other women, opportunities to share and to learn from others' perspectives and experiences. That's huge. We've seen that a lot. I think we've learned, I think most of us have had this discussion where we've said we've learned more about ourselves from seeing how the other women in this group see us. It's hard to see your own strengths. We kind of focus on our weaknesses, but we can see each other's, and we take opportunities to point out the strengths that we see in each other. And that helps each one of us kind of maybe reevaluate how we see ourselves. I think that's a good thing that comes from it too. Anybody else?
Lori.
Yeah.
I really liked what you just said, how others can help us point out our strong point, because right now I'm in the middle of like finding myself, because as mothers, we lose ourselves in family and children.
Uh-huh.
And I don't quite know my purpose. And so, my son is autistic, and he's 10, and I have a 6-year-old daughter who is just the brightest crayon in the box. And so, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and not always that way. I have my bachelor's in psychology. So it's really hard to not analyze myself along, and be like, I should be doing something more, or, just feeling at home in my home, because I feel, I love to be outside. I love to mow my lawn and, do all that kind of stuff. I really hate laundry. It's just like the worst. And so, putting it away, I can load it all day long, but putting it away, it's just not fun. So, but I don't know. I just don't have my place anywhere really. We moved to Oklahoma. My husband is in oil, and all of our family and friends and everyone are in California. We've been here for about 4 years, so we have no one. And it's hard living away from everyone and, your whole life. I was 35 years in California, and then I moved out here to Oklahoma, and now I'm just like, well,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. No, we definitely have moms who can address that with you and share some thoughts and feelings. I think
would be fun.
yeah, Ida, let's go to Ida first.
So I've totally felt the same way. And I have I guess it's been like building, like I have 6 kids. Actually, I'm sorry, I have 9 kids, 6 bio kids, and we just adopted 3 girls. And before that, like the last probably maybe 4 or 5 years, I homeschooled my kids all along. And I just felt like I was shrinking as a person more and more each day. And like I didn't even know who I was anymore, like I get emotional just talking about it, because I felt so like I'm just doing everything that I'm doing, and I feel like it's draining me, and I don't have anything to give, and I don't even know who I am anymore. Like I used to have interests and I love doing things, and I didn't have any of that anymore, and I didn't do any of those things anymore. And I feel like Heavenly Father kind of well, I feel like I was just trying to figure out what I was doing. And so I started like, I don't know, pondering on it a lot. And then this last year, maybe 2 years ago now, after my 6th daughter was born, I had pretty bad postpartum depression, and I was trying to figure out homeschool, and I couldn't really do anything with them. And so I was just basically unschooling my kids. And I was just watching and observing and letting them kind of lead what they wanted to do. And that's all I could do. And at first I was really stressed about that. It just was like, what am I doing? But then I started to see my kids doing amazing things that I had nothing to do with, because they were pursuing their interests. Like my son learned how to fix bikes and fixed all of his siblings' bikes, and they did all kinds of funny little things. And would tell me about them and excited to share, you know, and so it was interesting to see that kind of unfold. And then I started praying about what I needed to do for school, because I'd been wanting to change kind of the way we were doing school, because I felt like I was just pushing my kids and they were not wanting to do anything. But I saw this other time when they were really like just exploring and learning and growing in ways that I hadn't expected without me interfering, you know. So I started praying about that, and I kind of through a series of things I was led to this group. I feel like Heavenly Father was guiding me here. And I was led to the Well-Educated Heart. So when I came, the first time I came, Lori's like, go and do the introductory course. And I was like, okay. And I'd actually heard about Well-Educated Heart once before, but I hadn't really looked into it at all. My sister mentioned it to me. And I was like, oh, okay. I think I know what that is. And I went through the introductory course, and I think
In a week.
yeah, because I was like starving. I felt like I was starving for this. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And taking it all in. And then, I mean, I've gone back to it several times because I feel like there was so much I missed because I was just so excited to like take it in. Anyways, I think a culminating or a really like aha moment for me was watching Marlene's does a podcast, I think, or maybe a video. It's called The Queen Rides By.
When Queens Ride By.
Queens Ride By. And I felt like it shifted my paradigm about what I was doing and why I was doing it. Because the whole time I was giving all these things to my children, and also I wasn't feeding my soul. You know, I wasn't doing things that helped to lift me. And that's what Well-Educated Heart is really about. Like we talk about all the time. It's like we're feeding our spirits. We're inspiring ourselves by being around nature and art and music ourselves. And as we do that, like we're filling our cup, and then it's overflowing, and our children are able to get that inspiration as well, as they're like along for the ride, right? And it has like it's helped me so much to not feel like I've lost myself. Like I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm so much more inspired and like feel like I have purpose that I didn't feel for a long time because I was just feeling empty, you know? And so I think like if you're doing motherhood wrong, like I was, it starts to feel like it starts to feel awful and a drudgery, and it drains you because you're losing yourself in it. And I totally felt that way. And since I've been trying to inspire my heart with these beautiful things that Marlene has provided for us, like all these amazing stories and all these things, you know, and just like I do art. And like that was something I never did with my kids because I was terrified about them. I'm like, no, I can't handle that chaos. But I'm like, all right, we're just gonna do this. And I started getting out watercolors. I'm like, all right, everybody, you know, let's paint. And sometimes when I'm more stressed, it's harder for me to do that. So I have to remind myself, okay, I need to feed my spirit, you know, feed my soul. And then I'm like, it's okay. These are just things. And then I just feel so much more purpose in my life than I did before. And I think it has everything to do with Well-Educated Heart and it doesn't matter if you're homeschooling or not, or whatever you're doing, but if you're incorporating that into your day every day and trying to feed your spirit with these beautiful things. It's more than just reading your scriptures. Like that is also vital. Like, I don't know what your religion is, but like I'm member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so we read the Book of Mormon and the Bible and all of those things, but then also like nature and art and music that are all inspired. They feed your soul. And it's like they create a beautiful place inside your soul so that you can hear the Savior better. And so I feel like that's what it's doing for me. It's like creating this environment where the Savior can really speak to me when I'm reading my scriptures. Like I can go deeper, you know? So I don't know if that answers your question at all, but that's when you were talking, I was like, that's how I felt. I really felt like that. So I just thought I would share my thoughts.
I love that, Ida. Thank you so much for sharing that. Maya, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Ida. I really appreciate that. I mean, you went deep, and I appreciate that because it's real, and that's my issue, is that I need to find real people. And as moms, it's hard especially stay-at-home moms, homeschool moms. We're not around, you know, a lot of people to talk to other than our kids. So then when husband comes home and we talk to him like a child, you know, my bad, but it happens, you know, and I'm sorry, babe, but I don't get to socialize with a lot of adults, you know, and then you lose yourself. I've stopped doing a lot of things because, you know, I was afraid of failure. If it didn't come out the way I liked it, then I didn't do it again. And I don't. So redoing all, you know, these furniture pieces and stuff, I have them all sitting in my garage because I'm afraid to fail. And it stops me from doing a lot and not reaching out and cutting myself off from people. And I really appreciate, you know, you, Ida, because you were able to share and make me feel like I'm not alone in this.
I love that. Maya, thank you for sharing your response to that. I appreciate that too. Yeah, this is a place where we're real. It's a very genuine, safe place. Emily.
Just a second, I'll turn my video on so you can see me.
Good, thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Am I there now?
Not yet.
Videos. Okay, there I am. I'm actually Ida's sister, and Maya's, what she said resonated with me too, maybe for some of the same reasons, but also for different reasons. I live in Arizona, and though I have a really large family that I come from, none of my family lives here. And there's other reasons too, besides the fact that we live here, but it's been difficult. We've lived in Arizona for 7 years and we love it here and we don't want to leave, but it's also really hard to feel like you don't have that support system and you feel a little bit isolated, and finding people that understand you and that will lift you up and encourage you, or that you can lean on, you know, when you just need that. Anyway, and I'm new to this Zoom group. This is only my second week joining in, and so I'm kind of like you, like I don't understand necessarily everything that they're talking about. And I've kind of been on the fringes of the well-educated heart and just like follow stuff on Facebook. I have some of the books. I've read little snippets here. My kids have read stuff, but I do use other things and incorporate things into my life that align with those kinds of things. A little bit here and there, but I'm also a stay-at-home mom. I have 12 kids, and my oldest is 18 and my youngest is 1. And so, and I homeschool. I've been homeschooling for the last couple of years, and so it's easy to feel like you lose yourself a little bit and you forget to take care of your own spiritual nourishment. And so I feel like I've been on my own personal journey over last many years, just because the children have come at me so quickly. And so I felt like I kind of was struggling to keep my head above water and struggling to breathe sometimes. But now I found myself in a place where my anxiety and what have you has made it difficult for me to put myself out there. And just like you said, Maya, to like fear of saying the wrong thing, or fear of failing, that I don't always put myself out there to be included and to be a part of something. And so this, me, I come for what other ladies have said, like just to be inspired, to find connection, to listen, and to just think about myself and my own personal growth and who I am and who I want to become.
I love that. Emily, thank you for sharing that. You know, I think that's a feeling that a lot of women can relate to, that feeling of getting lost, and also the fear of failure, being hesitant to try things because you're just not sure, or hesitant to put yourself out there, like you said, you're just not sure how it's going to be received. That's a real thing and a real fear. And here it is a safe place. When the women that come here, mothers in that we all nurture, but the women that come here come for that that connection. And in fact, our little latecomer here, but we're happy that you're here, Daisy. I want to have Daisy speak for just a minute and just share why you come here, Daisy, what you get out of this, and or what you get out of Well-Educated Heart, or both.
So yeah, I'm 22. I'm not married. And so it's kind of, I'm not a mom. And so I don't like, I feel always like, you know, I don't want to like talk too much because you ladies have like, you are in the trenches and I'm not in the trenches. But I found the Well-Educated Heart kind of gradually. My mother introduced me so I was homeschooled through high school. I guess so, you know, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. And so my mother introduced me to Charlotte Mason, who is a very heart-based educator from the 19th century. And I read some of her words, but they were kind of very dense for a 17-year-old to understand. And then I kind of, so there's a lot when you're a teenager, everyone's like, what job are you going to have? What are you going to do with your life? Where are you going to go to college? What are you doing? And I couldn't bring myself to go to college. Like I was like, does not feel right for me. And I you know, I'm a little lost, and which is really unpopular thing to say, I think, when you tell people you're not going to go to college. This was like, what am I going to do? And I couldn't find a school near me within a reasonable, too expensive to go to a school that would fit my what I wanted to do. So anyways, I found the Well-Educated Heart I was introduced to it by a lady at my church. She said that, oh, well, if you love Charlotte Mason, you'll love Marlene Peterson. And she gave me the link to the Well-Educated Heart. And I was like, this is amazing. Mother's University and the Delphian Chorus. And I was like, this was an answer to my prayers. And it gave me a way to educate myself that gave me the path that I wanted to go down, and the way I wanted to use my life and my knowledge. And so anyways, then fast forward 3-4 years, in January, I started to teach a little girl whose mother had terminal cancer, and they were homeschooled. And so the mother couldn't teach as much as she used to, because she's at the hospital all the time. So they asked me to come and teach their daughter, and it just really teaching really resonated with me. And I realized that teaching is what I wanted to do with my life. And I love the Well-Educated Heart because we are learning and we are teaching the things that we learn. And then so yeah, I love to teach, and I love that my learning can go right along with it. But so when I come to these meetings, I feel like I am not so crazy. There are ladies who believe in that heart matters, and not just mind, not just secular education, that our spirit matters.
I love it. Thanks, Daisy. I appreciate your input. So we come here to be fed. We come here to nurture each other. We come here to share things that we're learning. One of my things I did in the very beginning was I talked to the moms, would remind them fairly regularly to look at their days or look at their weeks and ask themselves 3 questions. And this still comes up. I still talk to people about this. And I put out 3 little emojis, and I had a happy face and a heart and a sunflower. And my 3 questions were, what are you, the individual, you mom, you know, your own person, what are you doing that makes you smile, makes you happy? What are you doing that makes you smile? The second one, the heart, what are you doing that stirs your heart? The third thing, the sunflower, what are you doing that helps you grow? And if you attend to those 3 things, like what Ida was saying earlier, it's really amazing. You focus on that learning, that nurturing your own heart, spending time in music, art, storytelling, nature, poetry. You put a little bit of that into your own life, into your own heart, and that fills you up in a way that it just comes out of you. It bubbles over the top, and it blesses and influences those who are around you. So I like to talk to moms who feel this, oh, I don't have time. There's no way. I don't have time to study anything on my own or to do anything that's just for me. But you don't really have time not to, because otherwise you are going to be this person who continues to feel this shrinking, like you're just shrinking into nothing. And how is that going to benefit the people around you, whether it's your children or those other people in your sphere of influence? You have to feed and nurture your heart. That tending to that heart, to your heart, is so vital. And that's kind of, if you believe, most any of the women that come here are women who have a belief in Christ, and they and if you believe in him and you understand the concept of a little bit even of come unto me, that's really kind of nurturing your heart. That's what you're doing. You're kind of doing that, come unto the Savior and be filled with all those good things. And then they just overflow into everybody else. And then I'm going to go to Kimmy, what she's shared over here. And I like this analogy too. She said, I like to use the analogy of the airplane face mask. When you travel with kids, the flight attendants always say, put your mask on before you put it on your kids. You can't help anyone if you've already passed out. Taking care of yourself matters. And it does. And with anything, you have true things, and Satan likes to take that truth and twist it just enough, kind of warp it. And then we sometimes start to believe those things. And so we think take care of myself means being selfish. And so I can't do that, because as a mom, what mom can be selfish? That's not something we can do. But that's a warped idea. This taking care of your heart is a very different matter. And you can see just from the discussions today how that's manifests a little bit differently. I wanted to share something. We're going to go to Linnell for a summary of our discussion here. And then for anyone who wants to stay on and continue talking, we can do that. But I wanted to go for a moment before I turn over to Linnell, just that idea that she brought up too. She loved it too. And I love it every time this comes up, but it's how Marlene refers to the people that she reads about as her friends. And I think that can also be a blessing to moms who don't have a lot of time to get together with other moms very often and who feel that loneliness. It's important to remember that we are not alone if we have stories, if we have books around us. So I'm just going to go back to that paragraph, that little bit that Marlene shares in the story we talked about earlier. Sorry, going off screen. She says, around that time, I had been spending quite a bit of time with Professor Lawrence Jones, who had been mentoring me in faith and courage and not giving up. And as you hear that, you think, oh, she has a mentor that she's currently working with. It's somebody that she's getting all of this wonderful, great advice and encouragement and everything from. And she says, she continues, like most of my friends, which I love that too. Like most of my friends, he died long ago, but he was teaching me through his story. So that is a really good, very important reminder that we have so many friends, so many mentors and guides as we go through this life. And if we just take a few moments every day to dip into a well-educated heart, that can provide so much comfort and help and direction and companionship even. I think that's a wonderful gift, one among many, that Marlene Peterson has given to a lot of women. Anyway, thank you for your participation in this discussion today. It's just been wonderful and very genuine and heartfelt, and I love that. And we're going to go to Linnell, who provides us with such a lovely summary every week. Linnell, we sure appreciate you and your gift in being able to do that.
Thanks, Lori. It is a blessing and an opportunity for me to be able to share. It's not something that I was aware of before joining this group, and I never had an opportunity to practice sharing my thoughts. And so I really do appreciate the time that Lori gives me at the end to wrap up and share some of my thoughts. And Maya, as you were talking, my heart grew. I could feel my heart expand, and I could feel more love in my heart for you and for your experience and for your vulnerability and for your time in being here. And we just barely met, but it's neat to see how sharing experiences brings connection. And before you spoke, I knew nothing about you, but the moment you started speaking, I felt a smile on my face. I felt warmth. I've had that experience before. I felt, yeah, I've thought that before. And so when we have the opportunity to share, I feel like it has the potential to bring instant connection. So you are in good company. There are many here who will open their arms out to you and be a friend to you and share with you. And we hope the same thing of you, that you can share with us. And there's so much that we can learn from you as well. And the same thing goes for Emily and any other new friends that come and visit us or that are here to stay. I feel like once you come once, you're kind of a part of us already. We just welcome you in, and you're here to stay, and you're a friend. And if you miss a week, then we miss you, and when you come back, we're happy to see you again. Something that Well-Educated Heart has done for me is that it has helped me grow. It has trained my eyes and my ears and my heart, and it has motivated and inspired me to arise and shine forth and to take my proper place at the heart of my home. That's a really big deal. It has inspired me to take my proper place as the mother in the heart of my home. And it has made such a big difference. And I've seen how it makes a difference in the lives of everyone else as well. It really is a personal and an individual journey and process. It's not something that happens overnight, but if you are diligent in learning and if you continue to work at it, you'll get there. So what Well-Educated Heart offers is this picture, this path, this image, this potential of what you can become and where you can be and what it can look like. And then when you gather with other women who are also working on it, then they show different aspects and they help you to understand with a deeper meaning what you're trying to learn, or they help you think of it in a different way. And so that alone is really inspiring. So I just wanted to address you being here and you opening up and sharing, you looking for connection. And I hope that you can find that here and that you feel welcomed and that you want to return and that you can contribute as well. And then just to wrap up a little bit, a different section of what we were talking about with our discussion today, I want to talk about sunflowers. And the Well-Educated Heart group on Facebook has been a little bit unique in the history of the typical conversations when it comes to the discussions about Christopher Columbus. So for any of you who were disheartened by those conversations, I recommend you read page 190 of the Catch the Vision. And I'm going to take some of my thoughts from this philosophy book. So page 190, it's titled Exploration and Discovery. But Marlene is addressing different figures of history being attacked. Christopher Columbus is one of them. She also talks about how Helen Keller has been attacked, about Mother Teresa, and she also mentions Les Mis. So all of these historical figures are being attacked by people today, and that goes along the lines of what we've been reading in our Facebook group and the conversation that has been going on. But what stood out to me most was when she started talking about Van Gogh, because my children and I were learning about Van Gogh last week. And I put on a documentary about Van Gogh for my children to learn about them, because here in Minneapolis, there is the immersive Van Gogh experience that I wanted to take my children to. And so it's this museum that you can go in and you're immersed in Van Gogh's artwork. But before I went, I wanted to prepare them for this experience and to teach them a little bit about Van Gogh. Who is this man? What is his art? So we watched this documentary, and it turns out he has a really troubled life. He kind of went crazy. He was rejected. He was she talks about it here. She says he couldn't hold down a job. There wasn't much to like about him. He was a loner. He didn't try much. He lived and slept with prostitutes. He was depressed, eventually went insane. What my children remember from his documentary is that he ate paint and he cut off an ear and he committed suicide. That's what they remember about him. So not exactly the most admirable things to teach a child, but they learned about Van Gogh. And here is what Marlene says about Van Gogh and his painting of the sunflowers. The thought came to her that God grows sunflowers out of manure. Out of manure. And she said that is one of his wondrous powers. And then she says, you can choose to keep your nose stuck in the manure and inhale the stink, or you can step back and look for the flowers. You'll always find manure. You can keep your head in it and smell the stink if you want, or you can step back and you can smell the sunflowers. And now, even though I know that Van Gogh killed himself, even though I know that he eats paint, even though I know that he went crazy and all of these things about him, I want to remember him for the sunflowers that he painted. And I want to remember that he overcame this sorrow and this pain and this struggle and this storm. And now when I see sunflowers, it adds so much depth in me. I think about Lori and what she talks about. What are you doing to grow with her sunflower emoji? And I think about my Van Gogh experience. I think about Van Gogh's example of he just created so much good paintings, so much inspiration. He has inspired so many people, even though he had such a difficult life. And I even think about this sweet drawing that my son did for me a few days after. It says te quiero, and in Spanish that means I love you. And it's a sunflower. And if you look closely, I don't know if you can see, it's got a smiley face and she's got some eyelashes. And so I think of my sweet son and how this experience touched his life. And sunflowers can bring so much depth and meaning now. And when I see a sunflower, I'm gonna think, okay, I don't wanna be smelling the manure. I want to appreciate the sunflower. On page 193, it ends and says, don't be gloomy. Do not dwell on unkind things. Stop seeking out the storms and enjoy more fully the sunlight. And I would add the sunflowers. Accentuate the positive. Look a little deeper for a good. Go forward in life with a twinkle in your eye and a smile on your face, with great and strong purpose in your heart. Love life.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful on so many levels. I appreciate you, Linnell. You add so much with just that summary that you provide for us at the end, and it's always beautiful, very relatable, definitely inspired. Thank you for that. And thank you, all of you, for being here. It was just beautiful today. I love this. I love my Friday mornings. Thanks for making it a very bright spot in my life and for so many people. I love that. Thank you all for being here. And like I said, if anybody wants to stay, you're welcome to do that. And for anyone that can connect with Maya, again, Laura, you know, just to see if that all worked out okay for her. You know, I think that was what she asked and what she shared, and then what happened as a result of it was beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And Emily, thank you for being vulnerable, because that's not easy to do that. But I think you must feel safe here, and it is a safe place here. It's a beautiful place. And what it teaches me is that we can have this in our lives. We just need to cultivate it. I didn't know. I had no idea that relationships like this were possible with so many women. I didn't know that until this happened. And, you know, and it's something that Heavenly Father orchestrated, definitely. But it's just been a beautiful thing. And we're women with so many different backgrounds, so many different personalities. you know, different stories, different everything. And we love each other. We would love to get together and hang out and be with one another. And we care about each other. It makes us happy just to see each other's faces or names pop up on Facebook or, you know, silly things like that. So there's something really important about this connection. So anyway, thanks everybody.